where we come from. Today, he's a member of the Legislative Assembly representing Edmonton-Decore, but before then, he was Executive Director of the African Center, among other XDs that he has been. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome our MLA, Mr. Sharif Haji, as he comes to speak to us. Building inclusive communities, practical tools for supporting newcomers. This man talks from experience, he talks from practice, he talks from policy. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Judy.
Yes.
Yeah, I texted you.
You did? Yeah, you did text me on time. All right. Hold on, before you start, let's agree on the time. Because I'm giving a politician a microphone.
I was given an hour, but I won't take an hour. According to the agenda.
All right.
I'll be quick. Well, thank you very much. I think Pastor Dimuko covered quite an interesting area around the topic of building an inclusive society through faith. And I think some of the other speakers that were before me spoke extensively on different areas. I was asked to do a PowerPoint presentation, and I felt when I was preparing that, when was the last time I did PowerPoint presentation? Because mostly my life nowadays is that you go to an event, you are given a mic, you speak, and then you move on. You go to the next one, you do the same. So it's not that is structure. But I put 4 slides that will give me some sort of a guide in terms of what the conversation could look like. How many of you have a refugee background? Okay. And how many of you have friends who, or family members who have refugee background? All of us. So that speaks to the issue of refugees, newcomers in general, we all are, but particularly refugees impact all of us. It is a thing of our life. It is something that happens to people without having any role to it. My wife lived in a refugee camp. And it's because of her why I'm here. I've seen something else here which says displaced community. Like I have had, prior coming to Canada, international development work where I worked with refugees and displaced populations, which is terminologies that are used differently. Displacements are not refugees, it's people who are still within their countries. But refugees are those of us who crossed the borders and went to another country. So you have to now go into a different space. When I say space, it means the systems, the structures, policies that are in that space that you have to live in. The realities are, it's something that can happen any part of the world. There's a story that, I don't know if you know, 2015, during the federal election, the Prime Minister then, Justin Trudeau, who was campaigned that he will bring 25,000 Syrians within 3 months. Who remembers that? So, that was 2015. 2011, 4 years before that, the country called Syria had the largest refugees in the world. It was a host country that had the largest refugees in the world. But within 4 years, they became the largest refugees in the world. Just reflect on that. So it's something that can happen any moment in any part of the world and people are impacted for something that they have no role to play and they can't stop. So we have the obligation to support those ones who are fleeing. There was a lot of pushback at the time. And all the time, any wave of refugee that comes to countries, there will be a pushback. It's human nature. But when you think about it, 2015 again, the 25,000 Syrian refugees that came here, the pushback was, what if one of them is a terrorist? We have never seen any media reporting any of the 25,000 Syrian refugees that came to Canada falling into troubles or causing a trouble. 25,000 that came. But when you hear, I think that creates hatred, that creates a problem. So that leads me to the conversation around how do we build an inclusive society. It starts with the landscape. We have to, can you go to the next slide? We have to think of what they can bring to the table. And stop thinking that they will be a problem. So what we know is they play a role in the economic building. Any newcomers or refugees that come to the country, they do play a role in our economic participation. They do play a role in our entrepreneurship system. They do play a role in our socio-economic fabrics of the society. So it is a strength that we have to see from a perspective of a strength that we have to see that these are people who are going to contribute and build this country. But one of the things that we underestimate is the strength that they bring here. Resiliency is a general term that is used. You can be resilient in one aspect and extremely vulnerable in another, and susceptible in another aspect. But what I can say is that anyone who has gone through a refugee process will come with a strong resilience level. But we also cannot underestimate the susceptibility that they come with. And the first one is, we think about mostly, these people lack the language, these people lack the deficit aspect, somebody has already spoken about it. But we don't see the strength aspect of people who come to the country as refugees or as newcomers. So, but you have to sit back and think about, this person has gone through the most difficult thing that you have to go through. And number one is something that is talked not that much about. We talk about the financial aspect. It is important, but I think it is one of the buckets that people talk about. But it is not I would not say it's the key. It's not. The most important thing that people leave behind is the social capital. You left every friend that you had. You left anyone that you knew. You left behind your credit history. So you're starting from fresh now. So one of the sponsors here is the Africa Center. So when I came, that's something that I recognized. I recognized that I left behind everything. We came from countries that don't have a credit history in the system. We came from countries that the credit is structured and built within the society. And it's based that somebody will say that, oh, I know Festo, he's a good guy. That was how your credit is assessed. Mm-hmm. But you don't have that here. And the system that has the credit history here does not capture your history. So what I asked for was my family friend asked me, how can we help you? And I said, well, I need to go back to school and do my master's. I also need to get a job. But I think the most important thing that I need was, I need to get to know people, because I don't know anyone here. That is how I can start building my social capital. So I told him, take me where people meet. So, for those of you who know the Clearview Rec Center, that was being talked about at the time. It was not being built, but it was being talked about. It was engagements. So that was my first exposure to people. So I get to know people who were working at the Africa Center. I applied to volunteer for them. I wish Abdullah was here now. Then they interviewed me, and they asked me to bring professional references, meaning that people that I have worked with professionally. And I'm like, they're not here. They're back in Africa. But I still provided them. And they looked at it, they don't know them. I wouldn't blame them. They said, oh, we can't take you in. I'm not looking for a job, I'm looking for to volunteer. That was 2011. So I'll fast track. In 2019, I walked back to the Africa Center and I became the executive director. We built the organization, blew up every program that existed at the time, started afresh. So the idea is that you need to know, number one, is the social capital is one of the key things that we need to factor in terms of building a community. So can you go to the next slide? So one of the key issues that we have to keep in mind is we have to create a welcoming